So to start with, I'm taking my 200 mils of boiled water. It's still quite hot, and I'm going to add in some powdered gelatin. I'm going to add 2.5 teaspoons, that's a small spoon of powdered gelatin. Dissolve it in this nice hot water. Now you can use vegetarian based gelatin, which is made from pectin, which is derived from fruit skin, or you can use pork based gelatin. I'm using the veggie kind because I don't eat pork. So 2.5, and remember we're going to dissolve this, so we're going to start to stir it immediately and make sure that we've really dissolved all of the gelatin crystal into this hot water, okay? You can use the edge of your spoon to squash it against the glass to help break it down. You'll find that you'll need to really work hard to break down the powder. It will clump together at the bottom of the jug. Keep stirring, being really cautious because this is very hot still. Now we're going to add into this gelatin water mix the can of condensed milk. So once you have checked that it's fully dissolved, I just checked there, mine's all dissolved. I'm now going to add in my can of condensed milk. So I've got this one here. Pour it in and then mix it all together once more. Oh, that's really fun to watch it. So condensed milk is very creamy and it's quite sticky. So the sugar and the gelatin will help to form kind of like a custardy jelly mix, which is going to sit between the base and the other jelly section of our slice. So we've made this first because we want this to cool down a little bit before we put it onto our base. So once we've mixed this together, we can place it to the side and come back to it in a moment. So now that that bit of our jelly slice is cooling, we're going to move to the base next. So I'm going to take about 12 digestive biscuits. I'm using a tub about this size, but it's roughly about 150 grams of biscuits, and that's about 10 or 12 digestives. And I'm going to squash them and crumble them up in my hands. This bit is really fun. Make sure your hands are nice and clean. And you're going to break up your biscuits into this pot or dish or bowl. You want to really squash them so they're all crummy. And then we're going to add some butter to them and mix it. We can use our hands to do this, or we can use a spoon, whatever you'd like to do. I think hands is a little bit easier and it's a little bit more fun. So once you've crumbled up your biscuits, get someone to help you measure out 100 grams, and that's roughly about 3.5 big tablespoons of butter. And you want your butter to be quite soft, so if you need to, you might need to warm it up a little bit. You can pop it in the microwave for about 10 seconds. Don't do it for more than 10. Keep checking after every 10 seconds so you don't burn the butter and you also don't create a liquid. You just want it to be soft. So, I'm nearly at the stage where I'm ready to add my butter. I've crumbled up all my biscuits. I need it to do a little bit more. Break them up. You can also use a fork if you don't want to use your hands to do this, and you can crush up the biscuits like this if you want to. So once we've got all our biscuit crumbs ready, grab your butter. Pop it into your biscuit crumb mix and then begin crushing it up with your hands. Now that you've combined your butter and your biscuits, you should feel like the mix is a little bit wet. That will be the moisture from the butter, the oil. So we're going to grab our container, whatever you're putting this into, make sure you line it with a bit of baking paper. It'll just make it a little bit easier to take it out afterwards. So you're going to grab your crumb butter biscuit mix and you're going to put it into the bottom of your container. Like I said, depending on the size of your container, you might need a little bit more of this mixture, you might not. So I'm going to pop it into the bottom here. Luckily my container's see-through so you can see what I'm doing. Scoop it all out, don't miss any bits. And then I'm going to use my hand to kind of flatten this out to make it nice and even. So I'm going to squash it into all the corners and flatten it out to create a nice even base of soil. Yeah, imagine this is soil for our dinosaurs. So we then want to place our gelatin and condensed milk mix on top of this. So we want this to be really nice and flat and pushed down. So you're going to need to use your hands to really push this flat into the bottom of your bowl, your tray, whatever you're popping your mix into. Okay, so I'm going to use my hand, really push this down. And because you're pushing against the oil that's in the butter, you'll find that your mix gets like a shiny look to it. We really want to push this down nice and flat and as hard as we can so that it hardens up when we place it in the fridge in a bit. There we go. I've really pushed that firmly down into the base. So once you've washed your hands, you're then going to grab your mix of gelatin and condensed milk and water that we made previously, which should be a little bit cooler now and ready to be placed on top. So, grabbing my jug, I'm going to pour this over really gently, and I'm going to use the spoon so that it doesn't break up my biscuit base. I'm creating like a little waterfall platter. Lovely. Okay, once that's like this, we're going to pop this into the freezer just so that it starts to harden up a little bit, enough for us to place another layer on top, which will be our warm jelly mix. So I'm going to pop this into the freezer for about 20 minutes while I mix up the jelly and clean up this mess and my hands, and then we'll come back to this. So once I'm all clean and tidy again, I've pulled out my biscuit base and my cream section out of the freezer. It's nice and firm to touch. I'm now going to make some flavoured jelly. It can be any colour and flavour of your choice. I've got quick set jelly here, and I've made it to the instructions on the packet. I'm going to gently pour this over my two sections that are in my tub, making sure that I cover that whole creamy white layer with some jelly. Next, I'm going to cover this up, place it back in the fridge until it's nice and firm. I'm using quick set jelly, so this is going to take about 30 minutes. You want to make sure it's nice and firm before you eat it. Otherwise, it will go all wobbly and dribbly and fall everywhere. So once it's set in the refrigerator, it looks a bit like this. Can you see the layers? We've got our biscuit base on the bottom, our creamy sweet section in the middle, and we've got our wobbly jelly on top. Now on the top of my dino dessert, I put a little jelly dinosaur. You can see they're wobbling here. You can eat this as it is, or you might like to add a little bit of ice cream with it if you've got ice cream. This is really sweet, this middle layer. It's kind of like a custard taste, so you won't need much. I hope you enjoy making my jelly slice dino dessert. I'll see you next time. Enjoy it.